Hi friends, welcome to today's video. My name's Stephanie and today I'm going to be showing you my best polishes for the month of November. It is already time for another installment of my birth month series, and if you aren't familiar with this series, I basically take a bunch of different elements from the month like their birthstones, zodiac signs, flowers, and even holidays and curate my own little lineup for the month. Since there's so many different kinds of inspirations, the full lineup isn't meant to be cohesive by any means, but sometimes it really does come together, and I'm just so excited about this month's lineup. So I will save more of my thoughts for the end. For now, let me just show you the swatches. First up, I have ILNP's Amber, which I chose to represent the Citrine birthstone. Now, I know this is definitely very orange compared to a lot of citrine, which is usually a very pale yellow, but there are different kinds of citrine, and I think this can work for some of the darker options. Citrine is believed to bring abundance, wealth, and success, but it's also known to instill confidence and inspiration. I feel like more often than not, I meet November babies who don't love their birthstone, and I kind of get it, but at the same time, I feel like citrine really is super beautiful, and more importantly, I love the symbolism behind it. Then I have Holo Taco's bottle service for November's second birthstone, Topaz. Now, Topaz comes in many colors, but I think November is most often associated with gold and also sometimes blue topaz, which I think is shared with December. So obviously I went with the gold option here, and I also know Holo Taco just released a Topaz birthstone polish, but I personally think bottle service is like the perfect shade with its warm golden base and silver hollow flakies for that extra sparkle. Apparently, Topaz is associated with things like love and affection, so it's known as the stone of friendship. Now, moving on to the Zodiacs, we continue with Scorpio season, and I actually have 3 picks this month since my partner Ryan is a Scorpio, and I just love this sign. So the first shade that I have is Mooncat's Bottled Rage, which is this super dark and mysterious, but also kind of sexy shade. It has this really pretty red shimmer in a black base, and I feel like this kind of color combo just exudes Scorpio energy. I did think the name was pretty fitting too, since Scorpios are known to be very cold and almost indifferent. Like, they don't wear their heart on their sleeves like their other water sign counterparts, Cancer or Pisces. Instead, they choose to bottle everything up inside, which obviously isn't the healthiest since it can lead to an intense explosion. The next shade I have is Mooncat's Misery is My Favorite Color, which is this moody denim blue with a cobalt shimmer. So like I just mentioned, Scorpios are water signs, and even though they aren't always super expressive, they definitely still feel their emotions so deeply. I always associate Scorpios with the ocean or maybe even an iceberg because there is just so much depth to them that you don't really see at first. So I love this color to represent that because I feel like it just gives me all those moody water sign vibes. And the last shade that I have for Scorpio is ILNP's Thundercloud, which is kind of an extension of the last shade, where Scorpios just tend to be on the more gloomy side. Some might even say with a little rain cloud over them, which tends to keep others away. The good news is that Scorpios generally enjoy their solitude. I feel like a lot of them are definitely introverts, and they love the idea of just being on their own and cozying up inside while there's this storm outside. This one is especially dedicated to Ryan because he just loves a good rainy day. Later in the month, we enter Sagittarius season, and it's always quite the whiplash going from a moody water sign to an energetic fire sign. I love Sagittarius, so I have 2 shades for this month. The first is Holo Taco's Late Checkout, which is this vibrant purple shimmer with a gold reflective glitter. I know purple is often associated with Sags, but I couldn't help but include this one for the name especially. To me, it's just so perfect to represent how much of a wild and fun party animal Sagittarius is, to the point that they're gonna need a late checkout. I also think the bold purple is very in your face, just like this sign. And the next shade I have for them is Kathleen & Co.'s Follow Your Dreams, which was a polish pickup shade from a few months ago. This shade is inspired by the book The Alchemist, which is one of my favorites, and I know it might sound weird, but I feel like the book just gives me Sagittarius energy. It just feels so appropriate. I mean, first of all, this color is perfect for this lively fire sign, but the name too, I think, just really highlights the more free-spirited nature of Sagittarius. Like, they are the ones who will follow their heart no matter what, and I think that's what I love so much about them. One of November's birth flowers is the Chrysanthemum, and these are super beautiful, and I just love their meanings, or what they symbolize, because they're just all of these positive, feel-good things like friendship and happiness. But similar to other flowers, the meanings can change a little depending on the color, which, by the way, I went with Holo Taco's Sunshine Crush, which was from the Rock Candy collection, which you might remember I didn't really love this color for that lineup, but I really love it now. I feel like it's such a beautiful autumnal gold. And one of November's other birth flowers is the Peony, which I did also share previously, I think for the month of May, but I had to just share this flower again with a different polish pick because I found these peonies that have this beautiful, deeper kind of pink color, and I feel like KBShimmer's Feeling Good was such a perfect color match, especially since peonies can represent things like love and romance or just compassion in general. I feel like you definitely get this romantic kind of vibe with this kind of color. And finally, moving on to some holidays, one of the first holidays we have is National Merlot Day, which is on November 7th. Obviously, I had to choose ILNP's Merlot from their somewhat recent vineyard collection this past fall. It is a beautifully luscious wine red jelly base with this dainty scattered hollow. I'm really not much of a wine person, and if I'm gonna have a glass, I definitely prefer it to be on the sweeter side, but honestly, I would be more willing to drink it if it looked like this. Next up, I have Cirque's Olive Jelly. Not because it's National Olive Day, I believe I had already shared that, but instead to celebrate Pickle Day on November 14th. At first, I was struggling to find the perfect pickle green in my collection because I really feel like I don't have one. So I had to get a little creative and just lean into the sheerness of this shade to represent pickle juice. I don't know how cursed that is, but I'm a fan of pickles, as I imagine most people are, but I can imagine not many people would love this shade or think it's flattering. Then on November 23rd, we celebrate National Espresso Day. So obviously I had to choose Holo Taco's Espresso Your Holo. This was one of my top favorites from the barista bundle. I just love how deep and dark this espresso brown is. I'm definitely not a fan of espresso, but again, I would be more likely to drink it if it looked like this. And finally, for my fellow Americans who celebrate Thanksgiving, I have Nailpollies I Cran-berrily Believe It, which came out in a Thanksgiving collection last year. It is a beautiful cranberry colored jelly, and it is just one of my favorite shades. I feel like this is now a staple for Thanksgiving week. Even though I've never had cranberry sauce or anything like that, I feel like people forget that I may look white, but I actually grew up in a Hispanic household, so my Thanksgivings looked a little different. But I still really love this shade for the color, but I also really love the name too, because it just makes me think of like how I feel doing YouTube, where I just can hardly believe that I'm actually doing it, and I'm so grateful for all of you. So that wraps up my best polishes for the month of November. As always, I can't wait to hear what you think of this lineup, especially if you're a November baby, because like I already kind of mentioned in the intro, I am just so happy with this lineup. I love the colors so much, and I love just having like such a beautiful lineup to represent a month that I feel like is often skipped over. Like everybody is so excited for October, which, you know, obviously I'm a little biased as an October October baby myself, but even just when it comes to holidays, everybody loses their mind over Halloween. Understandable. But then once it's November 1st, it's like we just skip over the whole month and go straight into Christmas, and it's just too fast for me. So I love this being a reminder to slow down, enjoy the month that we're in, which is still fall, and obviously enjoy Thanksgiving if you celebrate. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't love the origins of how this holiday started, but I do love a holiday that means we can just get together around delicious food. I know, especially in like the nail polish world, or even just any kind of like retail space, it's always thinking about like what's next. And I get the excitement about, you know, the winter holiday season in general, but I just really love slowing down and remembering where we are, especially since Thanksgiving is supposed to be about gratitude. And I think I kind of mentioned it in my fall favorites video that I feel like fall is such a short season already, because it's technically, at least for me, starting as early as September 1st, but then October is kind of like lost to the more Halloween colors, which are like spooky, and you know, sure, there's like some overlap, but at least for me, fall really only consists of the months of like September, some of October, and November. So I'm gonna enjoy November with my fall shades. I know I did already start sharing some like winter collections already, but that's just, you know, for the review. Realistically, I am still gonna be wearing these kinds of colors, and I am just so excited for it. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. Leave me a like if you did, or leave me any and all thoughts that you have so we can chat about it. But thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.